The time has come. Welcome back to the channel. As you see, the heart of the 1964 Mopar is in the garage. And it is time to start tearing this thing down, getting that transmission off, so we can get the engine on that stand. So, I guess you're probably wondering why I'm jumping onto this motor without having the shop finished. Well, I've gone about as far as I can for the time being here. Two things. One, the parts I need for my sealing, my J channels and stuff, still in back order after 2 weeks. So they're not coming anytime soon. The second thing is, with my drywall finishing, we still have freezing temperatures at night. I woke up this morning to -5 Celsius, and I think it's supposed to be down to -2 tomorrow morning. So I cannot put on mud. I don't have a permanent source of heat in here at the moment, and I can't be running my propane heater anymore just because the propane makes the moisture, and this bare drywall will suck it up like a sponge. So I'm waiting for a little bit warmer weather and then other stuff to come in. I'm tired of waiting around. I'm an impatient man. I've been waiting a year to bust this thing open. So today it's gonna start. So people who were following along before know what this is. And for anyone new here to the channel, this is a 1964 Chrysler 361B, 361 cubic inch engine. Now it is a low-rise 2-barrel engine, which is not going to cut it. It's not going to make it where we're going. So that will be one of the big upgrades to this thing. Other than that, hopefully I can salvage this block. That is my plan. Hope to just a nice bore, maybe 20 thou over, transmission kit, and that'll be it. This transmission is a 727 torque flight. It's a push button shift, same as the stick, but I do have the push button option in the car. And this should be good for about 700 horsepower. Now I'm definitely not getting 700 horsepower out of this cast block, but I am going to do much, much better than the 278 that it came with from factory. So one of the unfortunate things is that this engine is locked up. Last year I started soaking it in different oils and penetrating fluids, and then come back to it and try to free it up. And then I also come back this spring, filled the block again, and it's still frozen. So my plan is, I'm going to pull the starter, pull the transmission cooler lines, and a couple wires that are joined together over there for grounds. But the plan is to loosen off the bolts and pull the transmission off, leaving the torque converter behind. And once I get the bell housing off the engine, I'm hoping I can get in with a wrench beside the flex plate and get the bolts undone. So I can get that engine up onto the engine stand and strip it to a bare block. So first things first, we got those transmission lines out of the way, and I got the starter pulled off. And for something that's been sitting so long in the forest, it's not that bad a shape. I can actually still turn this thing by hand, and the Bendix still comes out. So maybe with a set of brushes and a good cleaning, there might be some hope for this yet. Now the only other thing would be is that inside the solenoid, it might be a little gooed up or corroded up. But either way, it's going to go out and send to the local starter shop, get them rebuilt, because I'd like to use as much as I can off this original engine. One, just to be cheap and to save money, and two, original as I can get it, except for that top end. So I decided to bring my tractor in just to lift this thing up, get a little better working height, make it a little easier. So I went through and I pulled out all the top bolts in the bell housing, which are all 9/16. Then on the opposite side of the engine block side, there's two 5/8 bolts. I just leave them hanging out a bit so I can give them a little tap. You see it move there? And you can see we're starting to pull away from the engine. So I'll tap these a little more, and once I get this wide enough, I can get a pry bar in here. I'll open it up a little bit and slowly pull it out and hope that we're not going to puke too much oil at the bottom when that torque converter comes loose. So now that she's broken free, we can get a pry bar in here and slide this transmission off. I got a catch pan under there with the pallet and the wood. Realistically, I don't know how much I'm going to catch. I don't know how much is left in here, but we're going to try to keep it off the floor for the most part, because hopefully sometime over the summer I'm going to put an epoxy floor down and I got to keep it as clean as I can. Now I don't know if we can see this. We can. Right in the middle of that circle, right where that shiny spot is. Those are the bolts that I got to get undone. And I think there's 5 in there. 3 look okay. I don't know how I'm gonna get the one down below here. I'll have to pull off this inspection plate and see if I can get up under there. So there was only 4 bolts, and with that out, transmitter separated, torque converter still inside, which is awesome. No mess. Now I can carry on and get that thing out of the way. So yeah, that's what she looks like inside there. Getting this transmission off with the torque converter still in the bell housing side is awesome, because I'm not pulling it off the seal and having all that oil puke out of there. That is the drain there for the transmission, for the torque converter. And there was only 4 bolts. And this is the flex plate that was bolted to. Normally your engine would turn over, and with this inspection plate off the bottom, it opens up the bottom side of the transmission here so you can get in and you rotate it, take a bolt off, rotate it, take a bolt off. But because this engine's lock solid, I couldn't do that. Now this one here was a bit of a bugger, because my luck, right where it was stopped, is right against the rib of the bottom of the block. So I kind of had to use the bolt itself, unthreading it, to push the transmission off, which I don't think it buggered the threads at all. I think it's good. So I'm sure we'll be okay. So I'm just going to move this transmission out of the way, probably wrap it up in a garbage bag and throw it back outside. And then I'll get that flex plate off. Just those bolts are in the center there. And then try to find some longer bolts to match up to my engine stand. There we go. We have an engine ready to be stripped. Had to get a little creative back here with the bolt pattern. It definitely was nowhere near this universal mount, but again, it's kind of hard to make an engine stand for every engine out there. So this will work fine. It's got a little bounce to it, but I can almost take all my weight on the front of it and she won't tip over and doesn't bend. So it will be good to strip down. Anyway, that's the end of this video. It's about as far as we're going to get this weekend. And hopefully through the week here, I can start cracking this thing open. So as always, thanks for watching. Hope you guys are glad to see the Mopar coming back. And we'll catch you guys again next time.